This is New Zealand. The country, which has a population of 5 million, has totally eliminated COVID-19 within its borders. This notable and outstanding success happened under the leadership of New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern.
Myself, government ministers and public service chief executives will take a 20% pay cut for the next 6 months, as we acknowledge New Zealanders who are reliant on wage subsidies, taking pay cuts and losing their jobs as a result of COVID-19's global pandemic. We feel acutely the struggle that many New Zealanders are facing, and so too do the people that I work with on a daily basis.
On March 13, when New Zealand was about to mark the first anniversary of the Christchurch shooting with a national memorial event, Prime Minister Jacinda announced that almost everyone coming into New Zealand would have to self-isolate for 14 days. This bold decision was then later followed by complete lockdown in the nation. And during the next 2 weeks of lockdown, New Zealand saw a steady decline in the number of cases. Now, giving the world a model of empathy, clarity, and trust in science by Prime Minister Jacinda, New Zealand has successfully eliminated COVID-19. But this is not just a single story of how effectively countries can fight against coronavirus and can eliminate this fatal disease. There are other countries too who have shown the world how to fight against this pandemic with bold and proactive leadership. But guess what? All these countries have female leaders, while there are countries with male leaders who have done well and are doing well, like South Korea, who has Moon Jae-in, India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi leadership, Australia, Scott Morrison, and Canada, Justin Trudeau, to name a few. But few with female leaders have done boldly. Taiwan's Tai Ing-wen, Denmark's Mette Frederiksen, Iceland's Katrin Jakobsdottir, Finland's Sanna Marin, Germany's Angela Merkel, New Zealand's Jacinda Ardern, and Norway's Erna Solberg. But probably you would be thinking that out of these, most of the countries have less population, and there are several other factors like geography, resources, health infrastructure, awareness among public, and economy to be considered while assessing the situation and coming on to a conclusion. But wait, there are countries that have outperformed in handling the pandemic as compared to other countries that have better resources. Like India. India, when compared to developed countries like US and Italy, has outperformed both the nations in fighting against COVID-19. Despite having fewer resources, moderate health infrastructure, India's mortality rate, which is death per cases as a percentage, is still among the lowest in the world when compared with these developed countries. Timely nationwide lockdown announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi was appreciated globally. Because of this lockdown, the cases of COVID-19 in India is lower than what it was expected. Next, we can talk about Germany, France, and Italy. These countries have almost same size of population. But Germany outperformed France and Italy in handling COVID-19. So, the factors which we counted, like health infrastructure, awareness, resources, and more don't matter much. What matters is leadership. All these female leaders have two qualities in common: decisiveness and compassion. They all addressed their nations in their unique ways. Like Erna Solberg, Prime Minister of Norway held a press conference on coronavirus just for kids and children's media. Solberg assured her audience and said, "It has been special days. Many children think it is scary, but it is okay to be scared when so many things happen at the same time." Caribbean Prime Minister Silveria Jacobs reprimanded the citizens and said,
"Simply stop moving. If you do not have the type of bread you like in your house, eat crackers. Sardines. You're supposed to have a 2-week supply for hurricane. And at the beginning of this, I said, prepare your disaster kit as if you would for a hurricane.
Well, she was straight to the point. Mette Frederiksen, the Prime Minister of Denmark, showed her a soft side. She was singing a song while doing dishes.
Drøbe på min kind. Jeg ville gøre.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who doesn't give big speeches and addresses her nation once a year, for the first time in almost 15 years of leadership, gave her speech in an unscheduled televised address. Her speech was a hit. In her speech, she calmly presented the grim facts of the pandemic while also offering dose of compassion. She warned Germans that the outbreak poses the largest challenge since the Second World War. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, after announcing lockdown, went onto Facebook Live saying she wanted to check in with everyone as they prepared to hunker down. So compassion from these leaders made their citizens believe that they would be out from this situation soon. But well, actions speak louder than words. These leaders, along with other female leaders, not only just said, but did. So let's talk about their decisiveness. Tsai Ing-wen, Taiwan's first female president, adopted 124 control and contain measures in weeks, making a full lockdown unnecessary.
As the world enters a new phase of COVID-19 pandemic, President Tsai Ing-wen held a televised press conference on Thursday to address the nation. Adopting a reassuring tone, she called on the public to do all they can to comply with public health measures.
The nation has reported just 6 deaths, and now it has donated 7 million masks to countries including Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Belgium, and the UK. While 2 million masks to the US under the Taiwan-US Epidemic Prevention Cooperation Framework. Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin, who in 2019 became the world's youngest head of government, moved decisively to impose a strict lockdown, including a ban on all non-essential travel in and out of the Helsinki region. This has helped her country contain the spread of the virus to just 5,880 cases and 265 deaths. The figure stays among the least cases in a country in Europe. And being a millennial prime minister, she also used a millennial approach. She called out Finland's social media influencers to help spread coronavirus-related information and news to its masses. The country defines social media as its one of the critical operators along with doctors, bus drivers, and grocery store workers. Now soon, Finland will lift some coronavirus restrictions, allowing restaurants to reopen gradually and public services, including libraries and sports facilities, to start operating again from June 1. Iceland, under the Prime Minister Katrín Jakobsdóttir's leadership, has offered free testing to all citizens, not only those with symptoms, and has recorded 1,800 cases and 10 deaths. Some 12% of the population has taken up the offer, and an exhaustive tracing system has meant the country has not had to close schools. In case of Germany, the country has confirmed more than 145,000 cases of the virus and around 4,642 deaths, far fewer than the number of deaths confirmed in Italy and Spain. Country's widespread testing has helped officials track suspected cases more easily than in other countries. So, in this crisis, these female leaders have acknowledged a very important thing and delivered a brilliant message that if you're not the expert in this arena, so it's better to listen to those who are. These leaders adopted a different style of leadership. Their leadership was vulnerable and assertive, empathetic and tough. And this style of leadership is exactly what world requires during this pandemic and in future also.